My name is Lily, and I've had hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, for years. I finally found some relief since taking Cosentyx. Relief means I can show up more.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentyx.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I hope you had a nice weekend. We had some beautiful weather. Does anybody remember the days when it used to rain occasionally? Boy, oh boy, what happened to that? It is truly outrageous that prosecutors are trying to prevent witnesses in Daniel Penny's trial from calling him a Samaritan or a hero. Here, we have a former Marine who, I know a lot of former Marines don't like that distinction, but a Marine veteran, I'll say that, who in a moment of crisis acted on behalf of his fellow New Yorkers, stepping up to intervene in what was, by all accounts, a frightening situation in the subway. He wasn't a vigilante. He wasn't looking to harm anyone. He was responding to a clear threat. A man yelling that he was willing to die or for life. And now the DA wants to strip the people who were actually there, the eyewitnesses who felt the fear and saw Penny act, of their right to describe what they saw in their own words. This is ridiculous. What's the reasoning? Prosecutors say that terms like hero and good Samaritan are subjective and might influence the jury's opinion. But these aren't just words being thrown around. These are the real perceptions of eyewitnesses, people that were there, individuals who were there and who saw Penny's actions as protective, not reckless. I think it's very relevant to the case. Witnesses calling Penny a hero doesn't mean they're deciding he's innocent. They're giving an honest account of what they saw, of the courage and control they believed Penny showed. The prosecution can cross-examine them, can try to pick apart those accounts, but outright censoring their language? No, that's overreach. What's most hypocritical here is that prosecutors have no problem using language that paints Penny as reckless or negligent, arguing that he should have been more careful with Neely's life. So they're free to push their narrative, while at the same time trying to muzzle witnesses from using words that might lean positive. That's a complete distortion of what a fair trial should look like. At the end of the day, the judge should absolutely not tolerate this. The jurors deserve to hear every perspective, especially from those who lived through the ordeal and felt that Penny was acting in their defense. That's what justice looks like. Letting people tell their truth, not bending the rules to favor one side's agenda. In a city grappling with serious issues around public safety, let's not add courtroom censorship to the mix. The truth needs to come out, and the witnesses need to be able to speak it.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, Morano, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. The recent revelations about the New York City Dept.Of Education's refusal to provide critical services to special needs students in non-public schools should shock every New Yorker. At the heart of this crisis are children whose future depend on services they are legally entitled to under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Yet, nearly 2 months into the school year, the DOE is playing a dangerous game, one that's robbing students of their rights and their chance to succeed. And this was something that I was alerted to by a listener a couple of weeks ago, but I was looking for some sort of corroborating information or something from an official source. I had only gotten the word of this listener. But the elected officials that are calling this out, including my Congresswoman, Nicole Malliotakis, have really done their homework on this. Here's what's happening. Due to an arbitrary June 1st deadline for paperwork, one that many parents were never informed about, services are being withheld. We're not talking about minor inconveniences. These are essential accommodations that allow students with disabilities to participate fully in their education. Imagine telling a parent that their child must either transfer to a public school or forfeit the support they need to learn. That's the choice the DOE has forced on these families. Consider the case of a young deaf student who had been using a listening device already paid for by the city, mind you, which allowed her to thrive in her private school setting. This year, that device was taken away, leaving her unable to hear her teachers or classmates. Her mother, now forced to navigate a maze of bureaucracy, is left asking a haunting question. How do you make up for lost time? Elected officials from both sides of the aisle are rightly demanding that the federal government step in to hold the DOE accountable. These leaders recognize the families should not have to bear the financial and emotional burden of services the city is legally bound to provide. But this isn't just about holding the DOE accountable. It's about a pattern of neglect towards children with disabilities, a population that our laws are supposed to protect. These services are not optional. They're federally mandated. The DOE is currently in violation of federal law, and parents have had enough. The impact of this failure is severe. We're seeing students fall behind, families shouldering heavy financial burdens, and an erosion of trust in the public education system. It is high time the DOE stopped hiding behind red tape and excuses. Families and students deserve better.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If your brain is at full capacity with to-dos, birthdays, dinner plans, meet Skylight Calendar. It syncs your entire family's schedule onto a sleek digital display, so you focus on important things, like where you left your coffee. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/talk. Go to skylightcal.com/talk for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/talk.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
The Bedstuy Aquarium is gone. What began as a clever, community-driven twist on a leaky hydrant in Brooklyn, an unexpected oasis where residents bonded over fish and flowers, has now been reduced to concrete. Sure, it's disappointing. This was a project that took on a life of its own, capturing the neighborhood and the neighborhood spirit, its camaraderie, even its humor. But while it's easy to criticize the city for paving it over, we need to ask some harder questions. Was it really the safest choice? From a fire safety perspective, a leaky hydrant doubling as an aquarium could have easily compromised water pressure in a real emergency, putting lives at risk. And let's talk ecology. Goldfish, while resilient, aren't exactly suited for sidewalk puddles where fluctuating temperatures and water conditions could be harmful. Plus, these ponds weren't natural habitats for fish. They were more like urban novelties with a high risk of suffering or sudden death for the animals involved. That doesn't make it any easier for residents who enjoyed the aquarium as a little piece of wonder amidst daily life. When you live in a big city, small quirky moments can mean the world, but maybe it's worth channeling that enthusiasm towards a lasting community project that won't run afoul of fire codes or animal welfare concerns. The city's suggestion of moving this idea to a nearby community garden might be the most promising solution. Imagine a similar communal gathering place that maintains the spirit of the Bedstuy Aquarium, but in a place designed for animals and greenery alike, one that's both safe and sustainable. In the meantime, perhaps there's a lesson here in finding the balance between grassroots activity and public safety. Because in a way, the real treasure was the unity that this little pond brought to Bedstuy, reminding us all that even in a bustling city, neighbors will come together, whether it's for a misplaced hydrant or maybe next time, a community garden. So I've seen a lot of the pictures, and I understand why a lot of the children are disappointed, why a lot of the parents of children are disappointed, why the guys that set this up and were taking care of it and put so much effort into it, why they're disappointed. But come on, if this were to be allowed to stay, you'd see people building aquariums at leak hydrants all over the city. And that's just a non-starter, folks. It's not good for the fish, not good for the fire department, not good for anybody.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
In recent months, City Councilman Yusef Salaam, once one of the Central Park Five and now a powerful symbol of resilience and reform, has faced increasing scrutiny. Sal Greco, who's a fired police officer who's been a guest on the show many times and who's a friend of mine, he posted about this on Twitter. You can go take a look for yourself, but I've checked this out, and Sal is exactly right. Since taking office, Salaam has been notably absent from his city council responsibilities. From January 1st to October 22nd, he missed over 20 council sessions. That is an alarming rate for someone tasked with representing his district's interests and concerns. It's one thing to attend the occasional event outside the city. Council members often do. But in Salaam's case, his absences are raising questions. Sources say he's been frequently out of town from Thursday to Monday, busy delivering speeches around the country. Now, there's nothing wrong with a council member seeking to inspire others through his story. But what about his duty to the people of his home district? New Yorkers voted him in to work locally, to advocate for them on issues that matter here at home. Take a near weekly absence for speaking engagements across the country. Equally troubling are questions surrounding whether these trips have been properly cleared by the city's Conflict of Interest Board. Have they? To date, it's unclear if all these events were approved as required, or if Salaam is being compensated for them without the necessary oversight. After all, remember, there's a prohibition on council members earning outside income now. Additionally, who's covering his travel and lodging expenses? If these expenses aren't reported or cleared, I think they definitely raise ethical red flags. No one disputes that Yusef Salaam's personal journey is interesting, remarkable, very powerful story. But the people of New York City deserve representatives who are present, accountable, transparent. If a public speaking engagement is more important to him than city council work, then maybe he should consider a different role. For now, the people in his district are watching, and they're right to expect more. I'm going to be digging for some answers on this because this stinks.
Beam me up.
To be continued.